My name is Michael, and I've always considered myself a decent family man, a loving husband, a caring father, a responsible worker. In general, a typical average American. My little world was quiet and measured, without shakeups and surprises, until a certain point. And it all started, as usual, with a conversation about money, or rather, about their constant lack. My wife Catherine once again rolled her eyes when I stammered about buying a new TV. Michael, we've discussed this. Now is not the best time for large expenses. Better think about how to increase our income. Maybe you should ask for a raise at work, I sighed. Easy for her to say. Ask for a raise. As if our old stingy boss gives out raises left and right. No, this required a different approach. Unconventional, creative. And then it hit me. I had been nursing the idea of a small business for a long time. Not just an abstract dream, but a very concrete plan to invest in real estate. You buy a couple of apartments, renovate them, rent them out, and voila, passive income. The only hitch was the lack of startup capital. All our savings went into the down payment on the house and paying for our daughter's college. I didn't want to get into loans. Too risky. I needed an investor, and a reliable one at that. And then a crazy thought crept into my head. What if I asked my mother-in-law to be a partner? Barbara surely had some savings. She's a reasonable, intelligent woman. Definitely better than keeping money under the mattress, investing in a promising business. But just the thought of asking my mother-in-law for financial help gave me a nervous tick. Barbara and I never got along particularly well. More precisely, she openly disliked me. She was always criticizing my work, my appearance, my methods of raising my daughter. And now to swallow my pride and ask her for a favor? Unthinkable. On the other hand, if the plan works out, it would solve many of our problems. And then surely I can convince one stubborn woman that I'm right. After all, it's business, nothing personal. So with a heavy heart, I dialed Barbara's number. Dryly inquired if she would like to meet, discuss a little business. My mother-in-law grunted but agreed. We arranged to meet at a cafe, neutral territory, so to speak. Well, Michael, I encouraged myself, the first step is taken. It will be easier from here. It's just a conversation, just a business proposition. Smile, radiate confidence. After all, what can she do to you? She won't eat you. Oh, if only I knew then how this seemingly harmless meeting would turn out, and what our partnership with my mother-in-law would lead to. They say, be careful what you wish for, especially when it comes to joint business with relatives. But then, on that sunny day, I still didn't suspect anything. I just gathered my courage and, straightening my shoulders, stepped forward to meet my fate. Ha, sounds pompous, doesn't it? But that's essentially how it was. This meeting really changed my life, dramatically, irrevocably. And damn it, I still don't know, for better or for worse. Barbara was already waiting for me when I entered the cafe. She sat in the corner, regal and unapproachable, like the Queen of England at a reception. Although, to be honest, my mother-in-law hardly resembled an aristocrat in appearance. More like an aging businesswoman, fit, well-groomed, with an eternal smirk of superiority on her thin lips. Michael, she nodded, not getting up. Have a seat. I ordered you coffee. I hope you still drink this swill without sugar? I tried to muster a polite smile. That's how it always is. No hello, no how are you. Get straight to the point, and with digs at that. Thank you, Barbara, you are very kind, I said through gritted teeth and plopped down on a chair opposite her. Well, I think we both don't like to beat around the bush, so let's get right to the point. My mother-in-law raised an eyebrow but remained silent. With a gesture, she invited me to continue. I took a deep breath. It's now or never, Mikey. Go ahead. You see, Barbara, I have a business idea, a very promising one, I dare say, related to real estate investments. And off I went. I began to enthusiastically describe my plan, how we would buy several apartments, renovate them, furnish them, and then rent them out and rake in the dough. I talked about low risks and high returns, about a growing market and falling competition. In short, I dumped my entire stock of eloquence on my mother-in-law. Barbara listened without interrupting, only occasionally nodding and tapping her fingernails on the table. When I finally ran out of steam, she took a long sip of coffee and stared at me point blank. Let's say, Michael, sounds intriguing, but what does this have to do with me? You didn't just call me here for no reason, right? I hesitated. Here it is, the moment of truth. Now it's either make it or break it. Well, you see, Barbara, certain investments are needed to implement this project, startup capital, so to speak, and I thought maybe you would like to become my investor, on mutually beneficial terms, of course. Phew, said it. Now all that remained was to wait for a reaction. My heart was pounding somewhere in my throat, my palms were sweating. For some reason I felt like a naughty schoolboy in front of a formidable teacher. Barbara was silent, examining me with a kind of strange, appraising look, the way you look at a horse before a race, considering whether to place a bet. Finally, she grunted and leaned back in her chair. Well, Michael, I must admit your offer is curious. I'll think about it. Let me know when you have specific numbers and details. I nearly collapsed with relief. Thinking about it is almost like agreeing, right? At least she didn't send me away immediately. Not bad already. Of course, Barbara, I exclaimed, not hiding my enthusiasm. I'll prepare all the calculations, a business plan. I'll email it to you in the next few days. You won't regret it, I promise. My mother-in-law just twitched the corner of her mouth. Either a smile or a smirk, hard to tell. We'll see, Michael. We'll see. And now, if you'll excuse me, I have to go. Business awaits. And she left, swiftly, without looking back. And I sat for a long time sipping my cooled coffee and replaying our conversation in my head. I took the first step, started a dialogue. It seems the matter has moved off the ground. How wrong I was then. I thought the hardest part was behind me, persuaded my mother-in-law, charmed her with my eloquence. Yeah, right. The real difficulties were just beginning. The next few days I spent as if in a fever. I made tables, calculated risks, built forecasts, tortured poor Catherine with endless talk of profitability and payback. But it was worth it. The business plan turned out great. Solid, thorough, with lots of graphs and charts. I sent it to Barbara and started waiting, checking my email every 5 minutes, restless. And when my mother-in-law finally sent a laconic, "Okay, it's a deal. Come by tomorrow. We'll discuss the details," I nearly jumped for joy. That's it, Mikey. You did it. You talked your mother-in-law into an adventure. Now great things await you. Investments, real estate, stable income. Life is good. Oh, poor, naive Michael. If only you knew what you were signing up for. If only you knew how this sudden partnership would turn out. But how could you have known? You just wanted to make a dream come true, to shake up your dreary Philistine life. And damn it, you succeeded, though not quite as expected. The first few weeks of our collaboration with my mother-in-law flew by in a haze. Meetings with realtors, apartment showings, renovation discussions. My head was spinning from the abundance of new information. But I liked this feeling, as if I had suddenly stepped beyond the boundaries of my familiar little world, broke out into the wide open. Felt like a kind of business shark, a conqueror of the real estate market. My mother-in-law, I must give her credit, turned out to be surprisingly businesslike and quick-witted. She meticulously studied documents, asked the right questions, bargained down to the last cent. Sometimes even I was stumped by her meticulousness, but I wasn't complaining. After all, these are our joint investments. No room for sentiments here. Gradually, we began to spend more and more time together. We met almost every day, either at sites or in cafes or at her home. We discussed strategies, argued over details, made plans for the future, and without noticing it ourselves, we began to grow closer, not only as business partners, but also as friends or something. I suddenly realized that with Barbara, you can talk not only about work. She turned out to have a great sense of humor, a sharp mind, and unexpectedly deep knowledge of history and literature. We could chat for hours about books, politics, the latest news. We joked, laughed, teased each other, just like old buddies. And the strangest thing is that it didn't bother me at all. On the contrary, in Barbara's company I felt surprisingly comfortable, as if next to me was not a stranger, but someone very close and understanding. Catherine, of course, was surprised by my more frequent business meetings. She would raise her eyebrows questioningly when I once again ran out of the house on business. But I brushed it off. They say, nothing to be done. Business requires sacrifices. And what suspicions can there be? This is my mother-in-law, after all. What nonsense! Oh, if only I knew then how soon these nonsenses would grow into something completely different. wrong, forbidden, and therefore only more attractive. And it all started, as usual, with a trifle. With some nonsense that at any other time I wouldn't have paid attention to. Barbara and I were looking at another apartment, a nice two-bedroom in an old building. The realtor was describing its merits, and I, as usual, was mentally calculating the potential profit. And then my mother-in-law suddenly stumbled on the uneven floor and began to fall. I reacted instinctively, stepped forward, caught her by the waist. Barbara gasped, clutched at my shoulders. We froze like that for a few seconds, pressed tightly against each other, looking into each other's eyes. And at that moment something happened. It was like an electric shock through the body, a wave of heat, embarrassment, and a strange, hitherto unfamiliar anticipation. I suddenly acutely realized how close Barbara's face was, how brightly her eyes sparkled, how soft her lips were, and how hard her heart was beating, right across from mine. The spell lasted only a moment. The next second, my mother-in-law had already pulled away, smiling awkwardly, fixed her hair, smoothed her jacket, thanked me for the help, and as if nothing had happened, returned to discussing the apartment. And I just stood there like a pole, stunned and dumbfounded. What the hell was that? Why did my reaction to Barbara suddenly become so inadequate? Have I completely lost my mind over business and lack of sleep? I spent the rest of the day on pins and needles, stealthily glancing at my mother-in-law, catching her every gesture, every word, as if trying to understand. Did she imagine it too? Also felt that strange spark? Or am I the only pervert here who's seeing all sorts of crap? Barbara behaved as usual. She was friendly, witty, well-read. But sometimes I would catch her long, thoughtful gaze on me. I would catch in her voice unusual notes, either embarrassment or flirtation. Damn, Michael, get it together, I chided myself. You're a grown married man. What the hell are you developing schoolboy angst for? Think about it. Your mother-in-law looked at you the wrong way. It happens to everyone. But it wasn't so easy to shake off the vague, disturbing feelings. They seemed to take root in my subconscious, and now only gained strength with each passing day. I began to notice in Barbara things that I hadn't paid attention to before. Her shapely figure, her slim ankles, the sly squint of her green eyes, the dimples on her cheeks, the way she cutely wrinkles her nose, holding back laughter, and how her hand, as if by chance, keeps touching mine when we sit side by side over papers. It made me flush at the very thought that it might not be accidental, that Barbara, too, was drawn to me, looking for an excuse for touches, for closeness. Nonsense, nonsense. This can't be, Michael. It's wrong. It's immoral. She's your wife's mother. You have no right. But forbidden fruit, as you know, is always sweeter. And the more fiercely I drove away the uninvited fantasies, the more strongly they dug into my brain. I think Barbara felt something too. At least our conversations gradually became more personal, more confidential. We were no longer just discussing business. We were sharing our dreams, fears, innermost thoughts. I was getting to know Barbara from a new, unexpected side. Vulnerable, sensitive, not at all like the bitchy shrew I once thought she was. Once, when we were lingering over a renovation plan, she suddenly turned to me and said softly, "You know, Michael, I didn't even realize how lonely I've been all these years. After my husband died, it was like I put up a wall between myself and everyone else. And now, with you, it's like I'm starting to feel again, to live, not just exist." I got a lump in my throat. Barbara's eyes were filled with such undisguised tenderness, such yearning, that I wanted to hug her immediately, to comfort her, to protect her, never let go. "Barbara, I began, but my mother-in-law gently pressed her finger to my lips. Her gaze was burning with that same painfully familiar tension. "Shh, no need for words, Michael. We both know where this is all going. Let's just be honest with each other and with ourselves." And then she leaned over and kissed me, gently, tremulously, as if she had touched me with a butterfly's wing. And all my carefully constructed composure collapsed, shattered to pieces. The next few minutes merged into one feverish, painfully sweet whirlpool. Greedy hands, feverish kisses, tangle of clothes, trembling with desire, moans through clenched teeth. The irreversibility of what was happening. We made love right there, on the living room floor, fiercely, uncontrollably, passionately. It was blinding, stunning, so damn good. My whole body was singing with delight, with liberation, with an acute, almost mystical sense of rightness. And then we lay there, snuggled up against each other, wet, drained, shocked by what we had done, and realizing that there was no going back. The Rubicon had been crossed, the bridges burned. Now we would have to live with our shameful, beautiful, so desirable secret. To pretend, to squirm, to keep a straight face in public, and when alone. To go crazy for each other when alone. God, Lord, what have I gotten myself into? This is wrong. It will break Catherine's heart, destroy our family, my reputation, turn me into a liar and a scoundrel. But even realizing all this, I didn't want to. Stop. The passion, the madness that I experienced with Barbara, it's like a drug. More than anything in the world, I craved a repeat. And judging by my mother-in-law's scorching gaze, by her kiss-swollen lips, she did too. Already couldn't imagine life without our shameful, exhausting, incredible encounters. Well, come what may, we've stepped on this path, and we'll follow it to the end, even if it leads to the abyss. Lord have mercy. When did it all get so complicated? At what point did I become this? A person who can betray, deceive, think only of his own desires. No, I have to stop, before it's too late. But Barbara, the very thought of her makes my heart race like crazy. I need this like air, her taste, her smell, the heat of her body. And it seems there is simply no antidote to this madness. Lord God, what am I to do now? The next few weeks turned into one long nightmare for me. I was torn between duty and passion, guilt and sweet languor. I avoided Barbara as much as I could, made excuses, took time off work, went out of town, anything not to see her, not to run into her at every turn, the living embodiment of my fall. But the more I ran from her, the more agonizing the desire became. My dreams were filled with blurry, searing visions. My hands remembered her body, my lips remembered her taste, my heart ached, my mind was in hysterics. I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep. A hunted wild animal backed into a corner. That's what I looked like. Catherine, of course, sensed something was wrong. She looked at me with concern, tried to get me to talk, but what could I say? Honey, I'm sleeping with your mother, and I can't help it. I'm sorry. God, she'd kill me on the spot. No, better to keep a straight face. Smile, lie through my teeth. Attribute it to fatigue, stress, business problems. Just so she wouldn't guess, just so she wouldn't suspect. But it couldn't go on like this for long. Sooner or later, Barbara and I would have to confront each other, to dot all the I's. And that moment came. After a month of painful avoidance, we finally met, in the park, on neutral ground. We sat on a bench looking straight ahead, and we were silent, afraid to disturb the fragile balance. Barbara was the first to break. "This can't go on, Michael," she said hollowly. "We have to decide something. You know yourself. What's between us? It will destroy us both." I clenched my teeth. A lump rose in my throat, my eyes stung with rising tears. "I know," I finally squeezed out, swallowing the bitterness. "But I can't stop thinking about you, about us. It's beyond my power, you understand?" Barbara sighed heavily. She turned to me, pale, haggard. Her eyes were frozen in agony. "Me too, Michael. You have no idea how much I—" She faltered, bit her lip. "But we have no right. It's wrong, fundamentally wrong. We're both bound by obligations. And then, Catherine, how will I look her in the eye?" Hearing my wife's name, I seemed to awaken from oblivion. Lord, what am I doing? Dragging into the mud not only myself, but also the closest, dearest people to me. This can't go on. We must stop this madness before it's too late. "You're right," I said hoarsely. We have to stop. Forget about everything that happened, for their sake, for our own sake. Otherwise it will all end badly." Barbara didn't answer. She just squeezed my hand, hard, painfully. A single tear glistened on her cheek. We sat like that for a long time, silent, staring into nowhere, savoring the last moments of closeness. And then Barbara abruptly stood up, straightened her coat. "Goodbye, Michael," she threw curtly, not even looking at me, and with a quick step she headed away. And I remained sitting, feeling my heart being torn to pieces. God, what a fool I am. Found adventures for my ass, destroyed all the good things I had. And for what? A momentary weakness? A flash of lust? No, I have to get a grip. Cross Barbara out of my life, get back on the straight and narrow, even if every cell in my body will scream in pain and desire. I can do it. I must be able to. After all, my family, my reputation, that's all I have, and I'll be damned if I let myself destroy them. Life was gradually returning to its usual course. Our business with Barbara was thriving. The apartments were renovated and rented out, profits were pouring in. We only saw each other now on work matters, dryly, officially, no extra emotions. At first it was not easy. Every meeting was like a knife to the heart. To see her and not dare to touch, to speak and to hold back the confessions bursting from my tongue. But gradually it became easier. The pain dulled, the passion subsided. Only a dull, aching longing for what might have been remained. Things got better with Catherine, too. It was as if I fell in love with my wife all over again. Her softness, her care, her warm-heartedness. I tried to be attentive, give gifts, arrange surprises, as if atoning for my involuntary betrayal. My wife was blossoming before my eyes. She thought it was because of the success in business. She bragged to her friends about her caring, loving husband, and I just smiled crookedly, feeling a black hole growing inside me. At night, I was plagued by nightmares. Barbara appeared, sometimes crying, sometimes burning with passion, beckoning, calling, scorching with her touch. I would wake up in a cold sweat, biting my lips until they bled so as not to moan, and until morning I would lie awake, staring into the darkness. Only memories saved me, about our meetings, conversations, frenzies, about that sweet, agonizing feeling I experienced near her, like a life-giving breath of fresh air in the stale room of my life. I had no regrets. It may have been reckless, it may have been immoral, but at least I truly felt life. I felt, I dreamed, I soared. And even if I had to pay for it now, it was worth it. That's what I told myself, day after day, week after week. I trudged along, played the role of an exemplary family man, restrained my impulses, buried within myself a desperate, frenzied love. And who knows how much longer it would have gone on, if not for one incident that turned everything upside down. Barbara and I ran into each other on the street by chance, literally nose to nose at a newsstand. We both froze, stunned, instantly feeling that heat, that pull that had once pushed us toward each other. "Hello," she said softly, looking into my eyes. Her gaze was filled with such longing, such bitterness that my heart ached. "Hello," I echoed. Everything inside me clenched into a ball from the rush of feelings. God, how I missed her. Her very presence drove me crazy, turned off my brain. We stood there, silently looking at each other, absorbing the familiar, painfully dear features, and realizing that nothing had changed. Not in these months, not in the years ahead. This passion, this obsession with each other, it would haunt us forever. "I can't," Barbara suddenly whispered, shaking her head. "I can't go on like this anymore. I need you, Michael. Without you, everything has lost its meaning." I got a lump in my throat, my cheeks flushed at the confession, at the realization of the mutuality of our torment. "Me too," I breathed out with my lips alone. "Life without you is like hell, but we gave our word." Barbara just sobbed. Tears streamed down her face, but she didn't even try to wipe them away. "I'm tired of pretending," she said hollowly. "I'm tired of acting like I don't care. To hell with propriety, to hell with morality. I love you, and I will love you, no matter what happens." And suddenly she stepped up to me impulsively, hugged me, buried her face in my chest, shaking with sobs, and I stroked her hair, blinking back angry tears, feeling the unbearable burden of lies and pretense fall from my shoulders. We stood like that, probably for an eternity. Two lonely people in the whirlpool of the big city, ignoring the sidelong glances, the eternal rush of time, allowing ourselves, if only for a moment, to be ourselves. And then Barbara pulled away, looked into my eyes, seriously, probingly. "Michael," she called softly, "let's leave. Right now, drop everything. Start a new life somewhere far away, just you and me. I know it's crazy, but..." "Yes," I blurted out without thinking, and squeezed her hand tightly, looking straight and openly. "Yes, Barbara, I'm going with you, to the ends of the earth, into the unknown, anywhere, as long as we're together." Her face lit up with such joy, such relief, that I wanted to laugh. My God, but it's so simple. You just need to dare, to cast off the shackles, to make a choice with your heart, not your mind. We started a new life that same evening. We left the city light, leaving notes of apology. Catherine, I know, cried and cursed my name, but I couldn't do otherwise. To deceive her further would have been a far greater sin than to leave. We traveled the country, enjoying our newfound freedom. We made love on sagging mattresses and cheap motels. We laughed, argued, made plans. We felt so young, desperate, reckless. And then we settled in a small town on the coast, opened our own business with the money left over from the sale of the apartments, rented a cozy little house with a garden where we could finally just be together, without masks, without the past, just you and me to the very end. I know many will condemn me for selfishness, for weakness, for breaking so many lives, and I will understand them, truly. I will understand and accept the fairness of their anger, but I have no regrets, because I was finally able to be myself, to love, to breathe deeply, to follow my heart, not someone else's directives, and I am grateful to Barbara for showing me what it's like to truly live, to burn in the flames of feeling, to suffocate with tenderness, to spit on the whole world for a moment in the arms of a loved one. I guess that's what true happiness is, to come to it so late by such roundabout paths, but to come, to take it in an armful, not to let go, and let someone call it immoral, wrong. For Barbara and me, there are no more prohibitions and conventions. There is only endless gratitude to fate for bringing us together, for giving us to each other. Even if in such a strange, ridiculous, shocking way, through lies, betrayals, years of doubts and yearnings. But in the end, love won out, as in Shakespeare's sonnets, as in romantic stories. We did it, we endured, we made it to the end of this road, hand in hand, not looking back, into our own perfect world where only you and I exist. You know, I'm even grateful for that crazy idea that started it all, to break into the construction business, to bring my mother-in-law in as a partner. Who would have thought it would turn into the greatest adventure of my life? But I have no regrets, none at all. Because the most reckless, desperate acts sometimes lead to the brightest, most dazzling love stories. And that means it was worth it, all of it, the lies for the sake of salvation, the broken hearts, the frayed nerves. It was worth every minute, every moment next to her, with my Barbara, my only dear desired one. Muse, obsession, no longer even a mother-in-law, but a companion, a kindred spirit. Just let them dare to say that it's wrong, to love so strongly, so uncontrollably. I'd like to see their rightness, if it doesn't let you breathe deeply. Better to burn in hell for real passion than to stagnate all your life in dreary respectability. That's my credo, my motto. And it will remain so, until the end of time. Thank you, my dear, for being there, for being mine. And damn me if I regret my choice for even a moment. That's the story, my friends. Insane, absurd, but deliriously real. Our love story, Barbara's and mine, and I'm happy, truly, unconditionally happy. To hell with the sidelong glances, the condemning whispers behind my back. I've done the main thing. I didn't betray myself, and I was able, finally able to become free, in love, in life, in my own skin, which is what I wish for you. Listen to your heart, follow your dreams, and one day it will surely happen. Your personal, unique happiness. Trite? You bet. But damn it, how right it is. The only true and necessary thing. Go for it. Take risks, love, and be happy, damn you, without any of that right-wrong stuff. Just deliriously, obliviously, until sparks fly from your eyes. Did you like this story? Let us know in the comments what you liked. Subscribe to our storytelling podcast. Also, don't forget to like and ring the bell so you don't miss more interesting stories. See you soon.